central government should initiate dialogue with the elected representatives for the restoration of Jammu and Kashmir special status. But the BJP has been actually protesting against this resolution. They are saying it is anti-national resolution, it should not come. Surprisingly, there was, interestingly, there was a, tweet by Amit Malviya, head of IT, BJP IT cell, and he has, in a sense, praised the resolution and said, look, it could be a way forward for serious engagement between the elected representatives and the government of India for the future course of the Jammu and Kashmir. But here in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, we have seen BJP members are protesting, since yesterday, and they are saying they will not allow the House to function until the resolution is withdrawn by the Speaker.
Right, as Nazir is reporting, the House has been adjourned for 20 minutes. Amid intense opposition from the BJP, the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly had passed a resolution just yesterday asking the centre to hold dialogues with elected representatives for the restoration of the special status under Article 370 to the erstwhile state. But ruckus has ensued over Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir. The Assembly in Jammu and Kashmir has been adjourned after the ruckus. In fact, this ruckus was instigated by the Omar government's resolution against Article 370. And as my colleague Nazir Masoodi has been reporting, the BJP has raised many questions. Nazir, as you are reporting, the BJP demanding a withdrawal of the resolution immediately? Right, we seem to have lost that audio line with my colleague Nazir Masoodi, who's tracking the finer details for us. But ruckus ensuing currently in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly over Article 370. Dramatic images coming in of members heckling each other, of complete pandemonium inside the Assembly in Jammu and Kashmir. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly proceedings were adjourned for the day even yesterday amidst uproar after the House passed this resolution seeking a dialogue between the centre and elected representatives for restoration of special status of the erstwhile state. Dramatic visuals coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, where officials are seen almost manhandling each other in these dramatic visuals as the BJP demands a withdrawal of the resolution. Intense opposition from the BJP. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly did pass a resolution on Wednesday asking the centre to hold a dialogue with elected representatives for the restoration of the special status under Article 370. But ruckus has ensued since the last few minutes. The Assembly has been adjourned for 20 minutes, as my colleague Nazir Masoodi has been reporting, but heckling right inside the Assembly while it has been adjourned. As you can see, dramatic visuals coming in from the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, where ruckus has ensued over Article 370. The ruckus is actually over Omar Abdullah government's resolution against Article 370 abrogation. The BJP is demanding a withdrawal of the resolution immediately. Nazir, as you have been reporting, take us through what the BJP has been saying.
Well, BJP, since the time yesterday when this resolution was moved and then passed amid this pandemonium, they have been protesting. They have been in the well of the House until yesterday when the House was adjourned for tomorrow, till today. And today when as House convened, they started protesting and there was some members tried to rush into the House. House was adjourned. But despite House being adjourned, there's completely slogans are being shouted. Members from both sides are shouting at each other. And BJP is calling this resolution as anti-national, and they're saying 370 is a history, it can never come back. While the government resolution is clearly have not mentioned word 370 or 35A, they have been saying they have a concern over the unilateral removal of the special status. And they are saying Government of India should now initiate a dialogue with the elected representatives for this restoration of special status. But BJP appears to be not willing to accept this. Since yesterday they have been protesting and they have made it a point that they will not allow the House to function until the resolution is withdrawn. And Speaker has said his only job is to conduct the House. Majority of the members have voted in favor of the resolution, so resolution stands passed, cleared. So that is now property of the House, and he is only presiding officer of the assembly. But the BJP members have been accusing Speaker of the matter as being partisan, and by allowing this resolution to be passed amid pandemonium in the House. Having said that, this is clearly a more political than what it in the assembly, what is being passed or not passed in the assembly, because it is not binding on the central government to accept what has been asked in the resolution, because resolution is not any bill, which is not a law. It is actually the will of the majority of the House, and that will has been expressed by the House. While BJP is protesting, calling it anti-national, the regional parties like the PDP and other groups have been blaming National Conference for being very meek and soft when it comes to the language of the resolution, and they are saying, look, they could have condemned the abrogation of 370, which has not happened. They could have said it was unacceptable, that word was not used. They could have even mentioned the word 370 or 35A, even those words were not mentioned, and Mahbooba Mufti has clearly said it is a half-hearted attempt. But on the other side, National Conference is saying they have delivered on their promise, which was passing the resolution, and they want actually business, trying to do something, achieve something, rather than being caught in the jugglery of words or certain words.
Nazir, we are given to understand, as per initial reports, that this ruckus that's playing out on our screens actually was instigated after engineer Rashid's brother and MLA Khurshid Ahmed Sheikh displayed a banner on Article 370. Is that accurate?
Yeah, exactly. This Sheikh Khurshid Ahmed is an MLA and also the brother of jailed MP, Engineer Rashid. He rushed the well off. He was carrying a banner, and as we saw, and House is again convened, and Speaker Abdurrahim Rathar is on his legs, and he is trying to pacify the members. But clearly, the BJP members are not convinced. They are saying, look, we will not allow the House to function until the resolution is withdrawn. So clearly, resolution on Jammu and Kashmir special status or 370 has become a major political issue. So again, massive slogans, shouting from both the sides, Treasury bench and the opposition, and clearly this session appears to be drowned in this political controversy over the resolution. So really not easy even for the speaker to control the members from both sides. As the BJP members have been protesting, we see the National Conference and other members are also shouting, raising slogans. So normally the business was to the discussion on the Lieutenant Governor's address to the House, in which Lieutenant Governor had also mentioned the restoration of statehood to the Jammu and Kashmir and constitutional guarantees to the people of Jammu, to Jammu and Kashmir available to Jammu and Kashmir. So in a sense, when we talk about special status, it's always the constitutional guarantees government has been talking about. So that mention was also there in the Lieutenant Governor's address also to the Assembly. But as this we see here, lot of pandemonium inside the House on both sides. The members are shouting, members are raising slogans, and while as the National Conference, who has government which has moved this resolution and managed to pass this resolution and terming it as a major success for reclaiming the constitutional rights which have been lost after abrogation of Article 370, BJP is refusing to relent. Interestingly, yesterday, after the BJP, despite the fact BJP were protesting here in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya tweeted, and in fact, in a sense, welcomes this resolution and say it is a change, and because the National Conference government resolution is not talking about the full restoration of 370. And it has said that resolution can pave way for a serious dialogue and negotiations between the central government and the people of Jammu and Kashmir. So, but eventually he deleted that tweet also. And here we saw BJP clearly protesting. It is a, they don't want to relent on this. They continue to protest, as they have been saying that they will not allow the J&K Assembly to function till the time resolution is passed. And clearly it also helps politically to the National Conference, because they have been saying, come what may, regardless of the consequence, they will pass the resolution, despite the fact the regional parties have been questioning the language which has been used in the resolution, because it is not mentioning anywhere that the 370 should be restored. They have been talking about special status, and even 16 states across the country are actually enjoying the special status in different ways, and like 371 and all that. So having said that, we can see the protest which 370 is not mentioned in the resolution, but people can infer when you talk about special status, it's always 370 with regard to the Jammu and Kashmir. So that has become a contentious issue in the Assembly, and despite Speaker trying to pacify and convince the members from both the sides, we see the slogans, shouting and pandemonium in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly continues over the resolution which has been passed yesterday.
As always, Nazir, thank you so much for taking us through all the latest moves that are happening inside the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, and for contextualizing the entire information for us. A massive brawl erupted in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly over Article 370 abrogation. MLAs were actually seen throwing punches at each other. There was absolute pandemonium, as Nazir Masoodi is reporting from Ground Zero. The National Conference has said that with the passage of the resolution, it has actually fulfilled one of the key promises of its manifesto, but the BJP strongly opposing the National Conference-led Jammu and Kashmir government's resolution on special status. In fact, just yesterday, the BJP was seen tearing copies of the document in the well of the Union Territories House and saying it had no legal sanctity. In fact, party workers were also seen holding a protest in Jammu, and now a massive ruckus situation erupting inside the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly over the issue of Article 370. The Assembly has been adjourned for 20 minutes. Well, from Jammu and Kashmir, let's get you a quick update from Canada now. The Indian consulate in Canada has cancelled the scheduled consular camps to issue life certificates after the security agencies conveyed their inability to provide minimum security protection to the organisers of the camp, the Consulate General of India in Toronto has said. This announcement, though, comes merely days after pro-Khalistan supporters attacked members from the Hindu community when the Indian consulate had co-organised a consular camp outside the Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton, near Toronto. Mohammed Ghazali has been tracking the finer details for us. He joins us live currently. Ghazali, so the Indian consulate in Canada has now cancelled the scheduled consular camps after the security agencies have actually conveyed their inability to provide minimum security protection?
Yes, perhaps the Indian High Commission gathered intelligence and details that perhaps if they continue to organize these camps, then people who will be attending these camps either in gurdwaras or temple, and the atmosphere is already charged with the secessionist elements holding protest outside temples. And as you rightly pointed out, considering what happened just a couple of days ago, that devotees outside the Hindu temple were attacked by these secessionist elements, and they had come there to attend the same services camp, which was organized by the Indian High Commission. Earlier, the High Commission had announced that perhaps due to these attacks, their services will be undeterred and it will continue to be provided to the Indian citizens. But now, after considering that situation may go out of hand and these elements will try to exploit the venue of the camp to target Indian community there, and that is why it has been postponed. In one of the gurdwaras, the notice we received, a copy of which we have right now, shows that today's event has been cancelled and it has been rescheduled to 10th of November. So it has not been permanently cancelled, but it has been rescheduled, and it will be organized in different venues on different dates, considering the local situation there after coordination with the law and order situation.
As always, Ghazali, thanks so much for joining us with the latest. Let's turn our attention now to the national capital, where average pollution levels during the winter months are on a rise year on year. This is what a study that's been carried out by the Centre for Science and Environment has revealed. However, the report released noted annual pollution levels in the city are dipping, as are the peak winter pollution levels. In the last 5 years, the winter average of PM 2.5 concentration was the highest in 2023-24, and this is actually a 9% increase in the average PM 2.5 concentration in comparison to 2019-2020, and reflects elevated levels of pollution and high impact of atmospheric conditions too. This is what the analysis highlights. The study also finds sources of pollution are increasing, though the largest contributor of all sources when it comes to Delhi is actually vehicles. This report has also highlighted Delhi's annual PM 2.5 levels are 62% higher than the standard level. So drastic measures are the need of the hour to meet the national standards. Anushka joins us live from Akshardham at the moment to take stock of the toxic air that the national capital is breathing at the moment. Anushka, how bad is it in and around the national capital region today?
Well, that's right. The national capital is right now also gasping for fresh air. Right now we're at the Akshardham flyover, and I'd like to show you some visuals from here. First of all, you can clearly see the toxic air, the toxic smog that is shrouding the national capital. Right now, the collective AQI of Delhi is recorded around 367. Now, this is the higher end of the very poor category, and this is for around 7th consecutive days that the situation has remained in the very poor category. 8 stations in Delhi have recorded the AQI of severe category. Jahangir, Puri, Anand Vihar, Bhawana and Mundaka being the areas where the AQI has been recorded in the severe category. Also, right now what we see is the fresh report that has come in from CSE that indicates that the large contributor in the air pollution in Delhi is vehicular pollution. Certain initiatives were introduced by the Delhi Environment Minister. 21 focused key initiatives were introduced, and a lot of work was going on, a lot of steps were taken, but what we are seeing on ground is that those measures have failed to create any effect on the ground, because what we are seeing is that the condition is deteriorating.
I have to cut you through because we have breaking news coming in. Amid the intense opposition from the BJP, the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, as we had just covered, passed a resolution asking the centre to actually hold a dialogue with elected representatives. But there's absolute pandemonium inside the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. There is ruckus, and in fact, MLAs were seen throwing punches as well. Total ruckus over Article 370. The Assembly has been adjourned after this ruckus. That was over the Omar government's resolution against the Article 370 abrogation. As my colleague Nazir Masoodi has been covering, the BJP is demanding a withdrawal of the resolution. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly proceedings were actually adjourned for the day, even yesterday, amidst uproar after the House passed a resolution seeking a dialogue between the centre and elected representatives for restoration of special status of the erstwhile Assembly. A ruckus broke out just a few moments ago in the Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly after Khurshid Ahmed Sheikh, who is the MLA and brother of jailed Lok Sabha MP Engineer Rashid, displayed a banner on Article 370 that apparently led to a fist fight among lawmakers. The ripple effects of which you can see on your screens at the moment. Absolute drama, pandemonium playing out in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. Ruckus triggered over the Article 370 abrogation and resolution by the National Conference. This is amid the intense opposition from the BJP. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly on Wednesday passed this resolution asking the centre to actually hold discussions and a dialogue with representatives who are elected for the restoration of the special status to the erstwhile state. But since yesterday, we have been seeing absolute ruckus. As you can see on the left side of your screens, MLAs throwing punches, complete pandemonium and drama in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. Neeta Sharma has been tracking the latest developments for us. Neeta, as we can see on our screens, dramatic visuals coming in of MLAs and lawmakers. Absolute pandemonium. They're actually throwing fists at each other as well.
Absolutely. You know, the ruckus broke out from Meshwar when in the assembly, Khurshid Ahmed Sheikh, who is MLA from Langate and brother of jailed Lok Sabha MP, Engineer Rashid, he displayed a banner of Article 370, leading to a fist fight amongst lawmakers. BJP Sunil Sharma, who is also the leader of the House, he protested, and that's when the protest broke out. Seeing the ruckus in the House was also adjourned for almost 20 minutes and then again it was convened. But again, the ruckus has started. MP legislatures are also raising slogans, जिस कश्मीर को खून से सींचा वो कश्मीर हमारा है. This is what MP legislators are shouting slogans in the House after the leader of opposition, that is Sunil Sharma, accused the ruling party of getting lakhs of people killed in the name of special status. So obviously each party is trying to do their best to project what kind of politics that they are playing, because as far as BJP is concerned, BJP politics concerns mostly in Jammu area, and as far as other ruling parties are concerned, they are also trying to find their own lost ground, lost since 2019. So each party is trying to do their best to get the sympathy and the sentiment, to get to the sentiment of the people in Jammu and Kashmir. So that's the reason why MLA from Langate also took out a banner. Yesterday there was a resolution passed in the House by the Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, to which the PDP, again Abuba Mufti, did a press conference, and then she said that it was a half-hearted resolution passed because the resolution spoke about a dialogue with the popular government and with the center. They said you need to come out with people and then these two people can talk about and how to go forward to restore the statehood, to restore the constitutional rights. On this, the PDP also came out with a statement, said it's a half-hearted resolution which has been passed by National Conference as far as 370 is concerned. So each party is trying to do their maximum and is trying to gain momentum in their workers. Mind you, all these political parties, whether it's PDP or Apni party or Engineer Rashid's party, they did not get many votes, even though they contested on many seats. As far as the Engineer Rashid's party is concerned, they contested in as many as 40 to 50 seats, but they only gained one seat. Majority chunk of the votes were towards the National Conference, and Mr. Umar Abdullah became the Chief Minister. He is the first Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir when it's a union territory. So keeping that in mind, each political party is trying to, do their kind of politics. But this ruckus is obviously not done because the kind of fist fighting we are seeing in the assembly, the visuals everyone is seeing, people want things for them to ease out their style of living. They don't want their representatives to fight in the well of the House. So these visuals are obviously going out. But these leaders, obviously, they are trying to project their kind of politics, and that's the reason why you're seeing such kind of a fist fight in the well of the House.
Neeta, thanks so much for joining us with this update. Marshals are actually seen escorting these lawmakers out that were creating the pandemonium. There was absolute ruckus and drama unfolding in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly just a few moments ago. In fact, the chaos, as my colleague Nazir Masoodi and Neeta Sharma are reporting, in the House led to its brief adjournment as well. Neeta, the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, as you have been mentioning, passed this resolution just yesterday, seeking a dialogue for the restoration of special status and constitutional guarantees to the Union Territory. But while the resolution was moved by the Deputy Chief Minister, it was passed by voice vote, right? And all parties in the Assembly, barring the BJP, have extended their support to it? Right, we seem to have lost that line with my colleague Neeta Sharma, but we will just recap what's happening on your screens at the moment. Massive drama unfolding in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly as the House resumed, with the MLAs engaging in a scuffle over the issue of resolution to restore the special status of the Union Territory. Absolute pandemonium. Marshals had to actually escort lawmakers out who were engaging in this scuffle and throwing fists at each other. A ruckus broke out in the Legislative Assembly after Khurshid Ahmed Sheikh, who's MLA from Langate and the brother of jailed Lok Sabha MP Engineer Rashid, displayed a banner on Article 370, leading to this pandemonium and scuffle among lawmakers. Let's switch tracks now. Well, Shamika Ravi, member of the Economic Advisory Council, called the Supreme Court's order on private property a very welcome step. In fact, she said long-term economic growth is an outcome of the rights of private individuals to private property, and having a judiciary which protects the rights of the individuals of properties from being expropriated by other individuals as well as the state. The laws have to be such that the private property expropriation of individuals must be protected against not only other individuals, but by the state as well, because the state is a very powerful entity and an important part of the economy. Here are the details for you.
Dr. Ravi, really appreciate your time. Do you think this verdict of the Supreme Court is now, in many ways, crystallization of economic liberalization of India? When individual rights come ahead, take priority of the state?
So, Maria, long-term economic growth is really an outcome of right of individuals to private property, and having an independent judiciary which can protect the right of individuals' property from being expropriated by other individuals as well as by the state. I think it's very important to understand that the laws have to be such that private property expropriation is not only protected against other individuals, but by the state as well, because the state is your most powerful entity and a very important part of the economy. Now, since the late 70s, it became very clear to us by early 90s that the policies of nationalization and heavy bureaucracy and this whole license permit Raj, it denied generations, right? I mean, it denied hundreds of millions of Indians from prosperity and subsequent growth that we have had since 91.
Donald Trump's return to the White House has potential to reshape USA's foreign policy. Trump has said in the past that he will end the Russia-Ukraine war in a day when he makes his comeback as the president. Although he hasn't provided any specifics about the plans, the war has been going on for more than 2.5 years now, and there seems to be no end in sight. The conflict-ridden Middle East will be one of the key areas for the incoming Trump administration. Trump has promised to bring peace to the region, but then again, he hasn't given any details on how he plans to stop the two big conflicts in the region, which involve Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah. These conflicts have killed more than 45,000 people, most of them women and children in Gaza. There is no ceasefire deal in sight at the moment, and how Trump steers the Gaza and Lebanon ceasefire deals remains to be seen. Now to China. How Trump manages relations with China is one of the most talked about topics when it comes to USA's foreign policy. Experts suggest that Trump is likely to increase import tariffs on China, which would most likely invite countermeasures from the Beijing administration. On the other hand, there is also a likelihood that Trump could be open to pragmatic deals with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Is very welcome because now
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने।
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं.
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that.
Now, if you remember, nearly a month ago, Kamala Harris actually appeared on ABC in what was expected to be a friendly interview aimed at pitching herself to Americans who wanted to know more about her. But the sit-down, as you know, was quickly overshadowed by her response to a question on what she would have done differently from incumbent President Joe Biden. She actually said, "Not a thing comes to mind." Kamala Harris's answer, which became a Republican attack ad on loop, many argue underscored the political headwinds that her Jumpstart campaign failed to overcome in a decisive loss to Donald Trump. Publicly, she has conceded the race, telling supporters, do not despair, but soul-searching over where she went wrong and what else she could have done will likely take longer as Democrats begin finger-pointing and raising questions about the future of the party. But initial reactions indicate that Kamala Harris's loss in this election wasn't just about policy differences or Trump's strength as an opponent. It's about a deeper story of identity, strategy, and timing. So many analysts are actually arguing that first, Harris never fully embraced the historic nature of her candidacy. Many pollsters and analysts I've been speaking to believe that she downplayed her race and gender, not leaning into the powerful symbolism of being the first black woman with the shot at this presidency. And in trying to avoid making identity a central theme, she missed the chance to turn it into a rallying cry for change. Next, Harris ran a campaign that promised little would change, just that the person in charge would look different. In contrast, political watchers highlight that Trump's team offered a story about America's future that played on fears and desires for a return to traditional values. So Kamala Harris's message, though hopeful, felt like a promise of stasis, a future with small adjustments, but no real transformation. Then there's the challenge of what it means to navigate identity politics. Kamala Harris tried to play it safe, appealing to white voters by focusing on issues like national security and law and order. But in doing so, she actually ended up alienating key parts of her base, many analysts highlight, while not fully securing enough of the voters she needed from the other side. So in a nutshell, it's a balancing act that did not quite land for Kamala Harris. Her campaign also struggled with the weight of expectations. Like many women in leadership roles, she was thrust into the spotlight at a time of crisis, and you can't deny that. The Democratic Party was desperate for a candidate who could challenge Donald Trump, but Harris's candidacy for many in the United States often felt more like a last-ditch effort than a movement of, let's say, hope and change. And then there's the role of race and gender in shaping her narrative. Now, despite being a black woman, Harris couldn't fully embrace the power of that identity without risking alienating certain voters. But the reality, is identity has always been central to American politics. It's just that for many, it's only seen as a problem when it belongs to someone who's not white or not male. But in the end, Kamala Harris's loss wasn't just about who she was or what she stood for. It's about how she told her story and the ways in which she chose not to. In fact, Kamala Harris lost the presidential election and Democrats lost control of the Senate. But when you zoom in on the details of that result, there's one striking pattern. Democratic Senate candidates are outperforming Kamala Harris. Or put another way, Republican Senate candidates are doing worse than Donald Trump. In fact, in recent years, the outcome of a state's US Senate race has increasingly matched the outcome of its simultaneous presidential race. Ticket splitting has decreased in our era of polarization and partisanship, but the vast majority of people voting for a presidential candidate also vote for their party's Senate candidate. But not everyone does that, and there's still some variation in how much better or worse Senate candidates do compared to the top of the ticket. But looking at the variation can provide clues about what sorts of candidates overperform, even if they don't actually win. It can also help shape our understanding of national trends. Was there a nationwide backlash against all Democrats, or was the backlash mostly limited to the presidential candidate? If you trace back to 2020, actually, Republican Senate candidates overperformed Trump in most swing states, suggesting that Trump was a drag on the grand old party. This year, Democratic Senate candidates overperformed Kamala Harris in almost every key race, though often it wasn't by enough for Democrats to win. But here's how the Senate candidates in key races performed compared to Kamala Harris. The counts, health warning, aren't yet finalized, so the margins are subject to change. But this is how things looked as of the early afternoon in the United States. Let's take a look at Nebraska and pull that graphic up for you. Independent Dan Osborne's vote share is about 7 points higher than Kamala Harris, but he lost. In Montana, Senator John Tester's vote share is also about 7 points higher than Kamala Harris. He also lost. Ohio, Senator Sherrod Brown's vote share is about 4 points higher than Kamala Harris. He lost. In Arizona, Republican Ruben Gallagher's vote share is about 4 points higher than Kamala Harris, and he's currently leading, even though Harris is expected to lose there. If we take a look at Texas, Colin Alfred's vote share is about 3 points higher than Kamala Harris, but he failed to unseat Senator Ted Cruz. And in Nevada, Senator Jackie Rosen's vote share was about 2 points higher than Kamala Harris. If we look at Wisconsin, Senator Tammy Baldwin's vote share was less than 1 point higher than Harris's, but Baldwin defeated her challenger, Eric Hovde, while Harris lost the state. The pattern was also evident in less competitive races like Minnesota, New Mexico, New Jersey, and Virginia, where Democratic Senate candidates outperformed Kamala Harris. The other big story we're tracking, the Australian government says it will introduce the world's first legislation to ban children under 16 from social media. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the proposed laws are likely to be tabled in Parliament next week. In fact, he added that the proposed laws to be tabled in Parliament were aimed at mitigating the harm social media was inflicting on Australian children. Here's a reaction.
Social media is doing harm to our kids, and I'm calling time on it. I've spoken to thousands of parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles. They, like me, are worried sick about the safety of our kids online. And I want Australian parents and families to know that the government has your back. I want parents to be able to say, sorry mate, it's against the law for me to get you to do this. Now, government's proposed age is 16. That decision was made in Cabinet on Monday.
Well, let's now turn our attention to some exciting news from the startup community. A brand new startup accelerator program called Tech Expedite by Games 24/7 was recently launched in Bengaluru. What's it all about? Well, here's a special report.
Bengaluru was host to the launch roadshow event of Techspedite, a brand new startup accelerator program organized by Games 24/7, a tech company in the business of online gaming. The goal of this program is to provide support in terms of mentorship, networks, funds, and infrastructure to budding Indian startups in the fields of artificial intelligence, gaming, and inclusive and assistive technology. The program was endorsed by Shri Priyank Kharge, member of the Karnataka Legislative Assembly and Honorable Minister for Information Technology and Biotechnology.
This launch marks an important milestone in fostering innovation and technology advancement, and I'm thrilled to see Games 24/7's unwavering commitment to India's startup ecosystem.
Highlights of the launch included knowledge transfer and mentorship happening via the fireside chats and discussion panels held.
Technology being the front and center of everything that we're doing is what really gave rise to our thinking that, hey, yes, we're operating in the gaming space, but we're really building technology solutions. And therefore, why can't we use everything that we have learned to give back to the community?
Techspedite is a 60-day accelerator program, and the goal is to turn ideas that show promise into thriving and sustainable businesses.
The startups have the potential to really take the India story and transforming it, and also positioning India as a global leader in innovation.
With startups, business leaders, investors, VCs, policymakers, and other influential industry players bringing energy and vision, discussions around innovations in digital India's expanding startup ecosystem were highly promising and full of potential.
I look at AI as a challenge and an opportunity in India, because there's a lot of India-centric problems which AI can help solve. For example, health.
We are a large country with unique problems, and we have the opportunity to find those solutions and then export them abroad.
If you are a startup, this could be the ideal platform to launch your journey and propel your ideas to new heights. Selected startups can avail exciting benefits like over 500K in tech credits, participation in a demo day, fundraising opportunities, and access to a powerful network of industry leaders. So if you're a startup in the AI, gaming, or inclusive tech domain, this could be the perfect launchpad for you to turn your vision into reality. Keep watching the NDTV network to find out about developments from Techspedite.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
तालियों के साथ हम स्वागत करेंगे आदरणीय मोदी जी का।
छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की
Corruption first. आमचा अजेंडा आहे नेशन फर्स्ट.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत. पण का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. The air pollution situation in Delhi, it is getting worse. And the biggest contributing factor to that pollution are vehicles. We'll get you all the details. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly adjourned after ruckus. This ruckus took place over Umar government's resolution against Article 370 abrogation. Reports suggest that vehicles are the largest contributor to Delhi's particulate pollution. Donald Trump has spent his first day as president-elect receiving congratulatory phone calls from his defeated opponent, world leaders and President Joe Biden as he begins the process of turning his election victory into a government. The Consulate General of India in Toronto has announced the cancellation of several scheduled consular camps across Canada on Thursday after local security agencies indicated that they were unable to guarantee the required safety measures for these community events. And the Australian government says it will introduce the world's first legislation to ban children under 16 from social media. Prime Minister Albanese says that the proposed laws are likely to be tabled in Parliament next week. Well, the biggest story that we're tracking at the top of this hour amid intense opposition from the BJP, the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, it passed a resolution asking the centre to hold dialogue with elected representatives for restoration of special status under Article 370 to the erstwhile state. Now, there was a ruckus over the Article 70 issue, and you can see in those pictures the marshals. They are trying to get all the protesting MPs, MLAs out of the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, in fact, was adjourned after this ruckus. This ruckus took place over Umar Abdullah's government's resolution against Article 370 abrogation. The BJP, remember, demands withdrawal of this resolution. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, its proceedings were adjourned for the day amid uproar after the House passed a resolution seeking a dialogue between the centre and elected representatives for a restoration of special status to the erstwhile state. And my colleague Nazir joins us to get us more on this. Nazir, just give us the details of what exactly transpired today.
Well, it was full of Iraq and lots of chaos inside the assembly here in Srinagar as the house was convened and the members started protesting, and then there was a lot of chaos here and shouting. BJP has clearly said that they will not allow the House to function till the time the resolution is withdrawn. So that is the situation here. And finally, Speaker had to adjourn the House for the day, and it will be convened tomorrow again. But the way we have seen things have unfolded, both the sides have refused to relent, and there have been massive protests, and this has become a huge political controversy, this political issue. This abrogation, resolution demanding restoration of 370 after it was passed in J&K Assembly, and we see now the BJP members have clearly said they will not allow this to happen. Let me talk to Nizamuddin Bhatt, who is the senior leader, legislator, and the Congress leader also. Nizam Sahab, what happened? Why these people did not allow the House function? They want resolution should be withdrawn. Is there?
It's not the only thing that they would insist on resolution to be withdrawn, because their party line is already known and known to whole nation. And we also understand how much it's difficult for us, for Kashmiris to see, for people of Jammu and Kashmir to see that our aspirations are met. But their unruly behavior shows kind of a different design. They don't want us to function. They don't respect the representative character. They don't honor the assembly. They violate constitution and law. They resort.
But it wasn't unprecedented. Some MLAs were dragged, members were dragged when they tried to jump into the huddle of the House and Speaker.
You see, when you go to an extreme, the law enforcing agencies are one who is the guardian of the House and its decorum, has to resort to some kind of an action. And how would you do it? Even when the House was adjourned, they refused to leave the House. They did not show even the normal behavior. Once the House
what is the way out? What is the way out?
Why this platform kind of for jingoism?
Okay.
For hooliganism?
Okay. So what is the way out? What is the way out?
I would suggest in the House itself, if it's convened tomorrow, I have certain suggestions in mind. And one is that, which I would want to make public, that Honorable Speaker should convene the meeting before the House is set in motion tomorrow. He should convene the meeting of all the leaders,
all the
party leaders, and decide about how to go with the House. Time is left.
So you want that there should be a meeting of all the parties? And
Of course.
Thank you so much, Nizam Sahab. So clearly, this is a very, very contentious issue it has become. Let me talk to another legislator and senior National Conference leader, Javed Beg. Javed Sahab, House could not function since yesterday. जब से ये resolution passed हुआ, तो आप बताएंगे कि what is the way out now?
The way out is very simple. BJP members should realize that elections were held by the Election Commission of India. People have given their verdict. National Conference had made certain promises with the people that on the very first day, the first business would be to bring a legislation, to bring a resolution in which we will request the government of India and the Parliament of India to roll back all the decisions that were taken on 5th of August 2009.
But isn't it the dicey situation for the National Conference also? On one side, BJP is saying, look, you withdraw the resolution, it is anti-national. But the regional parties like the PDP saying, look, it is so meek. You have not even mentioned the word 370 or 35A. It is just half-hearted.
Sir, please bear with me. PDP, what PDP is talking is simple politics. And I will speak on the issue of the Assembly tomorrow. I hope I get the opportunity to speak because I am going to present this before the table.
You are initiating the thanks of motion on governors.
Yes. Okay. As far as BJP is concerned, we did what we were supposed to do.
Okay.
We have done it.
Okay.
And this is a first step towards the right direction.
Okay.
We have started walking. We are not crawling. We are walking.
Okay.
And walking with our heads high because people of Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, they are with us.
Okay.
So when people are with you and you start your journey, there is always hope.
Okay.
And I understand that one day we will achieve what we have promised. And for that, this is a political struggle. It will take time. लेकिन एक चीज हम आपको यकीन दिलाते हैं कि ये resolution rollback, it will be over our dead bodies.
So there's no question.
Never happen, sir. बात नहीं है.
Thank you so much, Mr. Javed Beg. So clearly, National Conference leader who was supposed to initiate the, address or speech on the vote of thanks on governor's speech, Lieutenant Governor's speech, is saying it is completely without any doubt that the resolution will not be withdrawn. He's saying over our dead bodies. So clearly, a strong stand by the National Conference also. So inside Assembly, we saw a lot of fireworks, a lot of pandemonium. Some members were actually dragged out of the house when they tried to jump into as you can see in these visuals, in the well of the house. So Speaker asked the marshals to do that. So since yesterday, we have seen a lot of noise, chaos, slogans inside Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. And very interestingly, it was a kind of a clever scheme by the National Conference. They actually made the Deputy Chief Minister, Surinder Chaudhary, who is from Jammu, to move the resolution for the restoration of special status, clearly trying to send a message that is a Hindu from Jammu. And because BJP has got all of the seats from the mainland Hindu-dominated areas of Jammu. And also we saw today when the BJP members were protesting, it were mainly the Hindu members from the Jammu who were countering them in the Assembly. So clearly, they are playing that politics as well inside the Assembly. But the fact is, for the last 2 days, the Assembly could not function in Jammu and Kashmir after the resolution was passed amid pandemonium, amid chaos. And we see today it doesn't look like that it would be allowed to function because BJP has clearly made it a point that they will not allow the House to function till the time this resolution is withdrawn.
Right, Nazir Masoodi, thank you very much for getting us all the latest. And how will this resolution impact Jammu and Kashmir's special status and what are the potential consequences for that entire region? We'll have to wait and watch for those answers. Moving on, vehicular pollution is the biggest contributor to air pollution in Delhi NCR. Now, reports suggest that vehicles are the largest contributor to Delhi's particulate pollution, accounting for more than half of the city's PM2.5 pollution in some cases. Now, other local sources also include construction dust, industrial emissions and open burning of waste. But a high volume of vehicles in Delhi NCR is affecting the air quality. Delhi has, remember, over 1 million registered vehicles and the number continues to grow, and that is a big, big worry. So vehicular pollution, the biggest contributor of air pollution in Delhi, and multiple reports have now suggested that vehicles are the largest contributor to Delhi's particulate pollution. And my colleague Tanushka spoke to Sunita Narayan on the vehicle pollution. Let's listen in to what she had to say.
You also spoke about a cost for clean air and also considering, you're emphasizing on local factors. So how can transport be, looked into with respect to mitigating this pollution problem every year?
So we are basically saying that transport is a major cause of source of pollution. And my colleagues have shown data today on how congestion is increasing, shown data in terms of not just vehicle purchase, but also in terms of congestion. Now, we know all that adds to pollution. Now, the only solution out of that means that you need cleaner fuel, cleaner vehicles, but that's a half solution because even if I bring in BS6 vehicles and I add 6 times more vehicles, I've negated the impact. So the only way is to reduce the number of vehicles on the road.
Every year, all throughout, what will be your last word, on the take on pollution problems, on going, what is the way forward?
The way forward is to make sure you act through the year.
All right, my colleague Anushka Garg joins us to get us more on this. Anushka, from what we understand, studies are saying that 50%, more than 50% of the air pollution, it is happening because of vehicles in Delhi and NCR.
Certainly, Osama, the CAC report states that the major contributor in the air pollution deteriorating quality in Delhi is contributed by the vehicles that are registered in Delhi also, and we can see throughout the year this is a problem, not just in winter time, but throughout the year this is something that the government should take into consideration, because what we see is that the meteorological factors during the winters are not quite favorable, and because of that the air quality dips every winter, and people are left gasping for fresh air. Now, the collective AQI of Delhi today is, recorded at 366. That is the, higher end of the very poor category. Now, 8 stations in Delhi have recorded severe AQI. That is, some stations like Anand Vihar, Jahangirpuri, Mundka and Bhavana are some stations where the air quality has already touched the severe category. Now, the Aam Aadmi Party government and the Environment Minister had, unveiled 21 focused point initiatives to tackle winter air pollution this year around also. But what we are gauging on ground is that those, measures have failed, because this is the 7th consecutive days where the AQI has touched very poor category, and 8 stations have already registered the AQI that is, touching the severe category. In the upcoming days, according to IMD also, the wind speed will be quite slow, and, in the coming days also the AQI is expected to deteriorate further. Now, because the air quality is already in the higher end of very poor category, this remains a problem to be seen, that what kind of a problem will people face, because after Diwali we can see that the condition in AQI has not been seen, that people are not getting any kind of relief from the air pollution situation that they are currently facing, not just in Delhi but also in nearby states. In the whole NCR, if we talk about it, the AQI is under very poor category, and that is also posing severe health hazards for the people who are staying here. Now, this is not the first year where this problem is being seen, but this is like 10th to 12th year where this whole problem is being seen, and every year around the government tries to tackle and mitigate and find ways around to solve this whole problem. But what we can see on ground is that the pollution situation is not under control. Now also the whole measures that were taken are proving to be failing on the ground level, and right now also we are seeing that because of the meteorological factors, the AQI situation is expected to worsen in the upcoming days. Back to studio.
Anushka, thank you very much for getting us all the latest of the situation in Delhi as far as air pollution is concerned. Regional cooperation, public awareness, government initiatives and long-term measures, that is all what the government needs to work on to get this situation under control. In fact, moving on to our other big story that we are tracking, the Karnataka Waqf Row. The Karnataka Waqf Land Row, it is simmering. Waqf JPC Chairman Jagdambika Pal, he is in Karnataka today to meet the farmers who are protesting against notices by the Waqf Board. Now, in fact, a delegation of farmers handed him a memorandum as soon as he landed in the state. There have been protests in Karnataka after farmers claim that they got eviction notices. The BJP, in the meanwhile, has claimed that this was yet another anti-farmer stance of the Karnataka government. Meanwhile, the Karnataka government issued order for withdrawal of these notices, calling it a gazette error. Meanwhile, Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, he hit out, calling the visit a political drama, and asserted that the state government is committed to protecting farmers.
The farmers of the North Karnataka, they are even at the airport, and they have handed over one memorandum, the piece of the land which was belonging to us. Now, Waqf Board is claiming that it is ours. So just I have inquired whether you have your deed, whether you have your ownership of that piece of land. They are saying, we are there from last more than 50 years, 70 years, but even then the Waqf Board is claiming. So they have given some papers. So I will look into it.
This is all a political drama. Since the election is there, they are nowhere connected. It is a state land, is a state subject. But my government is committed. We will not change any record. We will all rectify it. We don't want to affect any farmers. This is all started by BJP, and they are trying to put the blame on us. We don't mind. The JPC doesn't have any powers to enter. Already my Chief Minister and my Revenue Minister has all said on record, all farmers will be protected at any cost.
Thank you.
A classic case of misuse of powers, where farmer lands has been totally many notices have been converted into WAF property. The WAF powers are very well defined, but however, in Karnataka, the present government and WAF Adalat and ministers have totally misused it. It is a kind of a conspiracy against our farmers, land tillers.
And my colleague Pratibha joins us to get us more on this. Pratibha, there is a war of words that is happening in Karnataka over the Waqf issue, and it doesn't seem like that it is going to end anytime soon, right?
Well, definitely not, because we've been seeing the Waqf controversy play out for over a week now, and it's become a political flashpoint between the BJP as well as the Congress. And the BJP all set to take this over even during the impending by-election is what we hear from sources from the BJP. And the BJP has been holding relentless protests. They've also now taken to invite the JPC chairman, who's already here in Karnataka, and has also received a memorandum from the farmers' delegation there. The entire controversy erupted when several of these farmers' lands were suddenly put in the name of the Waqf board, and that did not really go down well with the farmers who complained. And they also noticed that the entire land records, some of the lands that they have inherited, some of the lands that has been with them for several decades, was suddenly changed to the name of the Waqf board. And soon after which the BJP took it up with respect to its protests, and the Karnataka CM Siddaramaiah recently mentioned that these notices that were given to the farmers would be withdrawn. But the BJP, however, continued with its statewide protest on November 4th, stating that even the land records should be rectified and that the RTCs should not have the name of the Waqf board. Until that is guaranteed, these protests would continue. We are yet to hear from the Karnataka government on this, but yes, this is definitely going to be an issue that will play a crucial role in the impending by-election to 3 constituencies in Karnataka.
Right, Pratibha Raman, thank you very much for getting us the latest as far as the Karnataka Waqf land row is concerned. Moving on, in an exclusive interview with NDTV, the state BJP chief of Jharkhand, Babulal Marandi, he spoke on infiltration. He said that if elected to power, they will set up SIT over infiltration and they will identify all the infiltrators. Marandi, in fact, attacked the Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, saying that promises were not fulfilled under the the Soren government.
झारखंड की राजनीति में शायद बाबूलाल मरांडी एकमात्र नेता हैं जो सामान्य सीट से न केवल लोकसभा का चुनाव लड़ा बल्कि लगातार विधानसभा का चुनाव भी सामान्य सीट से लड़ते हैं। आदिवासी होकर सामान्य सीट से लड़ना आपको लगता नहीं कि ये बड़ा जोखिम उठाते हैं?
अरे यार जोखिम क्या, मेरा घर द्वार यहीं पर है, यहीं हम पले बड़े हैं, जवान हुए हैं यहीं पर, और अपने मिट्टी से अगर हम नहीं लड़े तो कहाँ से जा कर के दूसरा जगहों से लड़ेंगे। दूसरा जगह से 98-99 में MP थे दुमका से, उसके बाद तो फिर हम अपने घर ही चले आए। तो मुझे लगता है कि हमारा घर है, ये स्वाभाविक हमारा क्षेत्र है, और जब स्वाभाविक क्षेत्र है तो वहाँ जनता का भी वैसे ही प्यार मिलता है। ऐसे विधानसभा में कोडरमा लोकसभा भी यहाँ से भी 4 से 14 तक हमने प्रतिनिधित्व किया है और जनता ने भरपूर हमें साथ दिया है, सहयोग दिया है और विधानसभा में भी सहयोग दिया है।
इस बार के चुनाव में मुख्य मुद्दा क्या है?
देखिए, मुद्दा बिल्कुल स्पष्ट है। एक तो हमने कहा कि भाई झारखंड में जो सरकार रही है 5 वर्षों तक यहाँ के लोगों को ठगा है इन्होंने। गरीबों से कहा था कि भाई साल में 72,000 रुपया देंगे, नहीं दिया। महिलाओं को कहा था कि इन्होंने 2,000 रुपया चूल्हा खर्च देंगे महीना में, नहीं दिया। लड़कियों से इन्होंने कहा था कि जब शादी होगी तो सोने की सिक्का देंगे, उन लोगों को भी नहीं दिया। बूढ़े बुजुर्ग हैं, विधवा है, दिव्यांग है, उनको कहा था 2,500 रुपया पेंशन देंगे। पूरे 5 साल होने को चला है, बल्कि पेंशन पिछले 8-9 महीना से उन लोगों का भी बंद पड़ा हुआ है जगह जगह पर, वो भी नहीं दिया। नौजवानों को तो उन्होंने अपने बाबूजी का उन्होंने कसम खाया था, लेकिन और 5 लाख नौकरी देने के उन्होंने नहीं दी। दुर्भाग्य क्या है, कई योजना तो हेमंत सोरेन जी जमीन पर उतार ही नहीं पाते हैं, काम ही नहीं करते हैं।
आप लोगों ने घुसपैठ को एक बड़ा मुद्दा बनाया है, क्या घुसपैठ के लिए राज्य सरकार जिम्मेवार है?
बिल्कुल जिम्मेवार है भाई। राज्य में जब कोई भी घुसपैठ करते हैं मतदाता सूची में वो नाम डालवाते हैं, वोटर क्या कहते हैं ये आधार कार्ड बनवाते हैं, राशन कार्ड बनवाते हैं, उनके लिए ज़मीन का पट्टा दिलाते हैं। तो ये सब काम तो राज्य सरकार का काम है देखने का, लेकिन राज्य सरकार तो मानने को ही तैयार नहीं है। यहाँ तक कि जब झारखंड हाई कोर्ट ने कहा कि राज्य सरकार के होम सेक्रेटरी और भारत सरकार के होम सेक्रेटरी मिल करके एक कमेटी गठित करेंगे और घुसपैठियों की पहचान करेंगे, लेकिन उन्होंने तो उसके विरोध में सुप्रीम कोर्ट चले गए हैं।
अगर आपकी सरकार बनेगी तो आप कैसी इस समस्या
देखिए, हमने तो बार बार कहा है कि SIT गठित करा देंगे और एक एक लोगों को पहचान किया जाएगा। जो भी विदेशी यहाँ आकर के घुसपैठे बसे हैं, चाहे वो वोटर लिस्ट में नाम चढ़ाए हो, राशन कार्ड में नाम चढ़ाए हो, जमीन जायदाद में नाम चढ़ाए, उनको चुन चुन करके यहाँ से बाहर किया जाएगा।
Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. You know, we have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems perfectly conceivable.
Well, breaking news coming in at this point. The centre has come down heavily on the farmers. It has taken strict measures in order to combat the massive pollution caused by stubble burning in Delhi and NCR. The centre has doubled the stubble burning fine. In fact, farmers who are found burning crop residue will face on-the-spot fines, which is going to be administered by the CAQM in coordination with the local authorities. These penalties will be ranging from rupees 10,000 to 15 lakh for general violators and 2,500 and above for each instance of stubble burning. So the government coming down very heavily on the issue of stubble burning. My colleague Sunil Prabhu joins us to get us more on this. Sunil, just break it down for us. What are these fines and the centre? It is now into action as far as stubble burning is concerned.
Well, as you are well aware, the Supreme Court has been monitoring this case very closely and had, in fact, right from the day one, been advising the centre as well as the Centre for Air Quality Commission to take corrective measures to ensure that, the Act allows them to, not only be toothless in the true sense, but be able to act. So they had, the Supreme Court had called the Act as well as the Commission completely toothless. They wanted more stringent powers to be given, penal powers and action, and not to dilute the Act in the true sense of the word. And that is the reason why now that the centre, in consultation with the Centre for Air Quality Commission, has decided to notify the new rules, doubled it. And as you can see, with less than 2 acres, it's 5,000, then subsequently 10,000, then 30,000 for every act. And the whole process has now been identified for hearing and how they can go about the process. But definitely stringent provisions, something that the Supreme Court wanted, apart from, of course, telling the Delhi police as well as the Delhi government to see how they can try to get a perpetual ban on firecrackers after, pollution levels were at its highest in this Diwali, as we've seen. So definitely, as the world's most polluted capital is trying to deal with severe as well as very poor air quality, the Supreme Court nodding and prodding the government, and they have notified changes in both the CAQM as well as in the Environment Ministry to ensure the law makes those relevant positions. So it's been gazetted after a lot of the rules to ensure that, one way or the other, you'll be able to tackle it. And, state government officials as well as the CAQM can't say that they don't have the powers and they don't have the penal, powers to take action against those who are responsible for stubble burning.
Right. Sunil, just quantify this for us. We just, there were reports that vehicular pollution is the biggest contributing factor as far as air pollution is concerned in Delhi and NCR. But stubble burning, it is a very close second as far as air pollution is concerned.
So it's multiple factors. It's just not vehicular pollution. It's not stubble farming. There's a host of other issues that deal with the air pollution and why the Delhi region is in particular very bad, because we are surrounded by a border states. Stubble burning plays a critical role. If there is no breeze or the wind factor, as it is known, then definitely Delhi gets doomed, as we've seen in various cases where it goes from, from poor to very poor to severe. So as long as there is some amount of wind, then definitely Delhi and the adjoining areas get saved. But yes, vehicular pollution is a huge factor, is a huge cause of concern. And that is because of the dust that is created. Not only if you have BS6 or other vehicles, it's about sweeping the streets and ensuring that the pathways are watered and the footpaths and everything else are kept clean. So that's a very, very critical factor where you read across the board bipartisan support. In Delhi, of course, you have multiplicity of authorities from DDA to NDMC to MCD, and the list continues, PWD, and multiple authorities, the Lieutenant Governor and the Chief Minister, as well as the Mayor of MCD. So each one blaming each other, and ultimately the people of Delhi are the biggest sufferers. And as you are well aware, we are one of the most polluted cities in the world.
Absolutely. Sunil Prabhu, thank you very much for getting us all the latest and putting everything in context for our viewers. So the centre has doubled the fine on stubble burning. The centre has doubled the fine after the Supreme Court's rap. The farmers with less than 2 acres of land will have to pay 5,000 rupees fine. Farmers with 2 to 5 acres of land, they will have to shell out 10,000 rupees as fine, and farmers with over 5 acres will have to pay 30,000 rupees as fine in case they are found to burn stubble. An Australian government says it will introduce world's first legislation to ban children under 16 from social media. The Prime Minister, he said that the proposed laws are likely to be tabled in Parliament next week. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, he said that the proposed laws is to be tabled in the Parliament and it were aimed at mitigating the harm social media was inflicting on Australian children.
Social media is doing harm to our kids, and I'm calling time on it. I've spoken to thousands of parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles. They, like me, are worried sick about the safety of our kids online. And I want Australian parents and families to know that the government has your back. I want parents to be able to say, sorry mate, it's against the law for me to get you to do this. Now, government's proposed age is 16. That decision was made in Cabinet on Monday.
Well, my colleague Tanushka joins us to get us more on this. Tanushka, there has been this debate about whether children should be allowed to use social media or not. Should it be regulated for them by their parents, etc.? What are the young people saying with respect to this this ban that Australia has now put into effect or is planning to put into effect?
Right, Osama, this move by the Australian government and the Prime Minister as well as, this has just been announced and decided upon. We also know that Sweden as well was, a country that has brought in certain kind of restrictions with respect to social media use of children, especially under the age of 16, especially this is the teenage. I'm currently outside the arts faculty of the Delhi University and I'm joined by some of the students here. Let us get talking to the youth and understand what do they think about this ban. Hi, tell us your name. And
Hi, I am Archit. I'm doing History Honours from Hindu, second year, undergrad.
Right. And what do you think about this ban on social media apps by the Australian government?
From what I understand of this, we have this problem in India as well of people from a very young age getting into social media, and it does have a deteriorating effect on how their personalities develop. But again, when we are talking of entirely banning social media for all of this entire age group, then that does pose a problem, because it's very similar to, I think, perhaps let's say liquor ban in India or something like that. Then what happens is that people go to alternate. They do it sneakingly, they do it discreetly in some fashion that their parents don't get to know, and that all might lead to more problematic issues. So that's what I understand.
Tell us your name, and the main motive behind this ban is with respect to mental health concerns of growing adolescent children. What is your understanding of this ban? How far will it be impactful?
My name is Aditi and I'm pursuing my master's from DU. See, we live in a time when as a whole in the world, especially in our country, we're dealing with the phenomena of fake news the most. We're the most heavily impacted country with from fake news. But I feel as far as mental health is concerned, of course, I am way beyond the age which has been supposedly banned in Australia. But I still feel being on social media from that younger age definitely puts in a lot of stress on children as they grow up, their perceptions of how they look, how their body looks and what kind of stuff is put. So obviously and it's not just children, it's adults as well. Whatever that we are seeing, our perceptions are formed that way, whether it is political, whether it is related to pop culture, what we like, what we dislike. It's so heavily impacted by social media that, of course, mental health is bound to get, messed up.
Yeah. So, tell us your name, and do you think that this sort of a ban will ever work in our country?
My name is Mudra. This kind of a ban in our country is will be a very debatable question, because in our country also the use of social media is very high, and not only as consumers but the children who's under 16 are content creators also. A lot of students as we see, or a lot of children as we see, they are making a lot of videos on TikTok, Insta and all. So the handling of that, that pressure, fame and everything will be a little bit problematic in our country also. So I do think maybe a regulations coming under that may help, but a complete ban, I am also not sure how that is gonna help us. Yeah.
So your friends out here up until now believe that a ban exactly is not very feasible up until now. What is your understanding of the situation? Should there be a ban, complete ban, like the Australia has brought about, until the age of 16?
I'm a student at law faculty, and I also do not believe that there should be a complete ban until the age of 16. See, हम पहले ही एज से सोशलाइज होना सीखते हैं सोशल मीडिया पर, है ना. स्टूडेंट्स जो बहुत यंगर चिल्ड्रन है, दे आर कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स, दे आर एक्सप्लोरिंग देयर स्किल्स, है ना. दे आर सोशलाइजिंग देमसेल्व्स विद अदर्स और बहुत कुछ सीख रहे हैं. सो कंप्लीट बैन इज़ नॉट अ गुड ऑप्शन, बट रेगुलेशन कैन बी देयर.
Right. Last two words on the topic here, of course. We, as of now, we've gauged that, this group of students that we're talking to right now, you're not completely in favor of a ban. But there are, so what then are, is the way ahead? Is it implementation, execution? How is social media handled? What, in your understanding, can be regulated with children up to 16 years of age?
So I think that the move to regulation itself is very important, because we see that governments usually hesitate to regulate companies that are as big as Facebook and Google, whose economies are larger than even countries. So this is an important first step, and I think regarding how and what should be regulated, I think, for instance, explicitly gendered content, communal content, content that people under 16 shouldn't view is something that we should legislate and regulate. And we often see how Twitter, Facebook have had a record in the past of not removing content that could, provoke communal rights. It's not removing content that is explicitly misogynistic. Right. So it's essential that the government have a bigger role in regulation, and we can't expect companies to self-regulate, which is something that has been expected of companies in the past.
Last word on the discussion here. Do you feel that this ban that Australian government has brought about will be useful for the kids until 16 years of age or not?
I don't think so. It will be useful, because these kinds of ban are basically a style statement, or statements for government to present. Like, for example, see any kind of ban, like liquor ban in Bihar. What happened to it? The legal age for drinking is 21 in Delhi. Every campus people know that. It's not the case. So the worst part about this is they will use illegal and illicit methods to use the social media platform and on. And what is on social media that they will not get on Google or some other platform. So it's a pseudo ban. It will not work. It's better than ki we should take all these companies into account, because they are doing the worst things. They are basically pushing the capitalist and neoliberal agenda, and making them accountable is the thing, not the individuals, for example. So that's the main thing.
Right.
So that's the whole thing. We should make these companies accountable to make their platforms more regulated and formalized, rather than banning things.
All right, thank you so much. So this is what we are understanding from these young people at Delhi University Arts faculty. There's a mixed bag of opinion that we've gotten from these students here. They all across board do believe that social media does have its own, curse, while it is a boon at the same time. But banning might exactly not be the way out to deal with social media problems. Instead, implementation and regulation is what these students believe might lead to a better way of going about social media for adolescent and teenage groups. Back to studio.
Right, Tanushka, social media is here to stay, and how is it regulated is the big question at the moment. Thank you very much for getting us all the details on that story. Well, Donald Trump, he is set to be the 47th president of the United States of America. He is now heading back to the Oval Office. In the meanwhile, Kamala Harris, while conceding defeat, she said that she concedes the poll and not the fight. In fact, she in fact vowed to help with peaceful transfer of power. In the meanwhile, world leaders, they have rushed to congratulate Donald Trump. Donald Trump, remember, has scripted one of the greatest political comebacks. He has returned to the White House. He will be returning to the White House in January. He's set to become the 47th president of the United States. As far as his priority is concerned, and that is what Donald Trump said, that he's going to seal the southern border. In the meanwhile, Kamala Harris said that she congratulates Donald Trump and urges the supporters to accept the results.
But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time. But for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service.
Now, as Donald Trump heads back to the Oval Office, what does it mean for the two wars? Are there big changes expected in US's foreign policy? I've got my colleague Vishal Vivek here to get us more details. Vishal, take it over.
So Donald Trump's return to the White House has potential to reshape the US's foreign policy. Trump has said in the past that he will end the Russia-Ukraine war in a day when he makes a comeback to the White House. Although he hasn't provided any specifics about the plans, the war has been going on for more than 2.5 years now, and there seems to be no end in sight. The conflict-ridden Middle East will be one of the key areas for the incoming Trump administration. Trump has promised to bring peace to the region, but then again, he hasn't given any details on how he plans to stop the two big conflicts in the region, which involve Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah. These conflicts have killed more than 45,000 people, most of them women and children in Gaza. There is no ceasefire deal in sight at the moment, and how Trump steers the Gaza and Lebanon ceasefire deals remains to be seen. Now to China. How Trump manages relations with China is one of the most talked about topics when it comes to US's foreign policy. Experts suggest that Trump is likely to increase import tariffs on China, which would most likely invite countermeasures from China. On the other hand, there is also a likelihood that Trump could be open to pragmatic deals with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
All right, Vishal, thank you very much for getting us all the latest there in that story. How is the future going to unfold for United States as far as their foreign policies are concerned with respect to China, the two wars that are happening at the moment? We'll have to wait and watch. And Shamika Ravi, member Economic Advisory Council, called the Supreme Court's order on private property a very welcome step. Long-term economic growth is an outcome of the right of private individuals to private property, and having a judiciary which protects the rights of the individuals of properties from being expropriated by other individuals as well as the state. The laws have to be such that private property expropriation of individuals must be protected against not only other individuals but by the state as well, is what she has said. Listen in.
Dr. Ravi, really appreciate your time. Do you think this verdict of the Supreme Court is now, in many ways, crystallization of economic liberalization of India? When individual rights come ahead, take priority of the state?
So, Maria, you know, long-term economic growth is really an outcome of right of individuals to private property, and having an independent judiciary which can protect the right of individuals' property from being expropriated by other individuals as well as by the state. I think it's very important to understand that the laws have to be such that private property expropriation is not only protected against other individuals, but by the state as well, because the state is your most powerful entity and a very important part of the economy. Now, since the late 70s, it became very clear to us by early 90s that the policies of nationalization and heavy bureaucracy and this whole license permit Raj, it denied generations, right? I mean, it denied hundreds of millions of Indians from prosperity, and subsequent growth that we have had since 91 has been on account of the fact that private property is encouraged. And I think the latest ruling that came out yesterday is a very welcome step. In some ways, it reverses significantly the laws enacted and the broader climate under which Indian economy has been functioning till now, which is denying individuals complete individual rights to private property. So it's a very welcome step.
Okay, so then, Dr. Ravi, would you then say that there have been some reasonable checks on nationalization post this verdict?
Well, it basically tells you now there are checks on the state from, taking over properties, which is what nationalization was, by the way, right? And after that, we saw what the outcome was. But you need now, I mean, there is enough evidence to see that the recent growth we have had is on the back of course, facilitating government policies, but fundamentally private enterprise. It's Indians and their hard work which is leading to creation of, these wonderful growth across the country, which we are enjoying, on account of which hundreds of millions of people have come out of poverty and so on and so forth. But the basic law still existed, the one of the late 70s, which basically did give the state extraordinary powers to expropriate and take over private property. So yesterday's ruling is very welcome, because now the state is prevented, in a very major way from having rights over private property and basically taking over private property. So those checks basically mean that efforts of, excessive nationalization is checked. By the way, it is not just the state, right? You also have to think of what policies are, how people think. If you remember, in the midst of COVID, when a very large number of economists had also floated the idea that we should just, the state should take over jewelry and land and, property, whatever it sees fit to overcome the COVID crisis. And many of us actually wrote vehemently against it, because, of course, the law is what allows the state to function, but the general sense and the general philosophy which drives people and society, I think had become excessively shackled after the late 70s under Mrs. Gandhi.
And tensions continue to rise at Northeastern Hill University at Meghalaya's capital Shillong as students have launched an indefinite hunger strike outside the Vice-Chancellor's office demanding the removal of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Prabha Shankar Shukla. The hunger strike, led by the Students' Union and the Khasi Students' Union there, it accuses the Vice-Chancellor of misuse of power and mismanagement. The students are also calling for the removal of the Registrar and Deputy Registrar, appointment of a pro-Vice-Chancellor for the Tura campus and improvements in essential amenities including revised hostel fees, clean water, Wi-Fi and ambulance services.
We are protesting for university betterment of university. As we have seen, there is irregularities in appointment of the registrar and deputy registrar, along with a few more officials. That's why we are protesting here, and we have seen that I have been here for more than 3 years. As a student, I have seen that our university is degrading year by year, yearly, and our ranking is going down.
From 2021, he came this university. From 2022, the protest is going on. I think this is the best step for Vice Chancellor to step down as the Vice Chancellors of this Northeastern Hill University.
The Vice Chancellor has misused and has manhandled the university according to his will, and he has done that by the appointment of the registrar, which is legitimate, as well as the deputy registrars and the other officials of the university, that indicates that there is foul play in the recruitment.
Now, with the ongoing controversy regarding a baby monkey in Chennai, the Madras High Court has now allowed the doctor to meet the baby monkey. The vet, remember, has saved the paralyzed monkey from rabies. This monkey is currently at the Chennai Zoo. The vet, remember, had moved to the High Court for its custody. The vet, in fact, took care of the baby monkey for 10 months. The Madras High Court, it has said that the vet can meet baby monkey at the zoo and the case must be handled sensitively. Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त पण का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी
सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने।
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very
Well, the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, he's conducting an address. He's speaking on the anti-terror. He's at the anti-terror conference, saying that the centre is committed to terror-free India. Let's listen in to what he has to say.
तब मुझे किसी का सम्मान होता था, पदक मिलता था, तो एक फॉर्मेलिटी लगती थी। मगर राज्य में गृह मंत्री बना, देश में गृह मंत्री बना, और जब अधिकारियों के कठिन परिश्रम को और उनकी शिद्दत को देखता हूं, तब मुझे लगता है पदक देने की प्रक्रिया कहीं न कहीं बहुत छोटी है इनके परिश्रम के आधार पर। ये मैं 11 के 11 अधिकारियों को बहुत बहुत बधाई और साधुवाद देना चाहता हूं। आजादी के 75 साल समाप्त हो गए। देश की सुरक्षा को बनाकर रखने के लिए अब तक 36,468 पुलिस कर्मियों ने देश की आंतरिक सुरक्षा और सीमाओं की सुरक्षा को बनाए रखने के लिए अपना बलिदान दिया है। वो सभी को मैं मनपूर्वक आज सर्वोच्च बलिदान देने के इनके जज्बे को बहुत मनपूर्वक श्रद्धांजलि देना चाहता हूं और उनके परिवारजनों का भी धन्यवाद देश की ओर से करना चाहता हूं। आप सभी जानते हैं कि 2019 से और पहले 2014 से ये 10 साल के अंदर मोदी जी के देश के प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद आतंकवाद के खिलाफ एक ठोस रणनीति लेकर भारत सरकार चली है। मोदी जी का एक घोष वाक्य जीरो टॉलरेंस अगेंस्ट टेररिज्म, ये न केवल भारत समग्र विश्व ने आज स्वीकार किया है और ये 10 साल के अंदर भारत के अंदर टेररिज्म के खिलाफ लड़ने की एक मजबूत इकोसिस्टम खड़ी हुई है। हालांकि बहुत कुछ करना बाकी है, परंतु 10 साल के काम का विहंगावलोकन करें तो संतोषजनक चित्र इस 10 साल में हमारे सामने खड़ा हुआ है। इस पर मैं बाद में बात करूंगा, परंतु इस प्रकार की कॉन्फ्रेंस बहुत उपयोगी है क्योंकि हम सभी जानते हैं कि हमारे देश के संविधान ने लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को एक प्रकार से राज्यों का अधिकार माना है, राज्यों का मुद्दा माना है। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर राज्यों का अधिकार हो, मुद्दा हो, वो बहुत उचित निर्णय है और इसकी सराहना जितनी कम की जाए इतनी कम है, क्योंकि इतने बड़े देश में कानून और व्यवस्था सेंटर नहीं संभाल सकता, परंतु जहां तक आतंकवाद से निपटने का सवाल है, राज्यों की अपनी सीमाएं हैं। राज्यों की भौगोलिक सीमाएं भी हैं, संवैधानिक सीमाएं भी है और आतंकवाद और आतंकवादियों की कोई सीमा नहीं है। वो अंतर्राज्यीय भी षड्यंत्र करते हैं, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय भी षड्यंत्र करते हैं और इसके खिलाफ अगर हमें सटीक तरीके से अपनी रणनीति बनानी है तो एनआईए का उपयोग कर इस प्रकार के सम्मेलनों से आतंकवाद को, नारकोटिक्स को, हवाला के काम को और कई प्रकार की अनेक गतिविधि जो देश की न केवल सीमा, अर्थतंत्र और कई प्रकार की सुरक्षाओं को खतरे में डालती है, इसके खिलाफ मजबूत लड़ने का तंत्र बनाना है। तो इसका एकमात्र रास्ता आज के जैसा सम्मेलन है और ये 2 दिन के सम्मेलन में अभी प्रेजेंटेशन में दिखाया अनेक विषय लिए गए हैं। मैंने भी 1 महीने से इनकी तैयारी को बारीकी से देखा है और मुझे भरोसा है कि ये सम्मेलन सिर्फ चर्चा का प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं बनेगा। इस सम्मेलन से कुछ एक्शनेबल पॉइंट निकलेंगे जो हमारी देश की आतंकवाद के खिलाफ की लड़ाई को मजबूत करेंगे, ठोस आधार देंगे और परिणाम लक्ष्य भी बनाएंगे। इस सम्मेलन की उपयोगिता तभी ही है कि कॉन्फ्रेंस में निकले हुए एक्शनेबल पॉइंट को हम थाने तक ले जाएं, बीट तक ले जाएं और बीट से लेकर एनआईए के डीजी तक पूरे तंत्र को आतंकवाद के खिलाफ के खतरों से जागरूक करने का हम अगर काम करते हैं तभी ये सम्मेलन को सफल माना जाएगा। मित्रों, आप सभी जानते हैं और अब पूरा देश और दुनिया भी मान रही है, मोदी जी के आने के बाद आतंकवाद के खिलाफ ढेर सारा काम हुआ है। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई का मतलब ये नहीं है कि कुछ षड्यंत्र को पकड़कर उसका पर्दाफाश कर दिया जाए। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई का मतलब है आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ने वाली एजेंसियों के हाथ कानूनी रूप से मजबूत किया जाए, एक ऐसी इकोसिस्टम बनाई जाए जिसके आधार पर आतंकवाद के खिलाफ की लड़ाई हमारी मजबूत हो। और मैं आज आप सभी को बताना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि पिसमिल होते जाता है, हम लोग इसको एक पेपर पर रखकर जब देखते हैं तभी मालूम पड़ता है कि कितना विराट काम ये 10 साल के हुआ है। 2 अगस्त 2019 को हमने एनआईए एक्ट में संशोधन किया, जिसमें नए अपराध भी जोड़े और एक्स्ट्रा टेरिटोरियल क्षेत्राधिकार भी दिया। एनआईए अब विदेश में भी जांच कर सकती है। यूएपीए में भी 14 अगस्त 2019 को संशोधन किया और संपत्ति जब्त करने का अधिकार दिया और व्यक्ति को और संगठन को आतंकवादी घोषित करने का अधिकार भी हमने यूएपीए के तहत दिया, जिसका बहुत संयमित परंतु सटीक उपयोग ये 5 साल में हमारे तंत्र ने किया है। हमने गृह मंत्रालय द्वारा डी रेडिकलाइजेशन के प्रयासों का समन्वय किया गया। विभिन्न मंत्रालयों ने भी अपनी रणनीति तैयार की और एक संस्थागत तंत्र स्थापना करने का काम भारत सरकार के गृह विभाग ने 5 साल के अंदर करा है। आतंकवाद की फंडिंग को नियंत्रित करने के लिए 25 सूत्रीय इंटीग्रेटेड योजना 2020 में बनाई गई।
Well, the Union Home Minister there speaking at the anti-terror conference, saying that the centre is committed to terror-free India. Now, amid intense opposition from the BJP, the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, it passed the resolution asking the centre to hold dialogue with elected representatives for the restoration of the special status under Article 370 to the erstwhile state. Now, there was a ruckus over Article 370 in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, and the Assembly was adjourned right after this ruckus took place. The ruckus was over Umar Abdullah's government's resolution against Article 370 abrogation. The BJP, it is demanding the withdrawal of this resolution.
जो हम लोग हैं जो हिंदुस्तान को मजबूत करना चाहते हैं, ये हम लोग हैं जो भारत माता को मजबूत करना चाहते हैं। ये वो लोग हैं जो ना भारत माता के, ना देश के, ना किसी और के, ये सिर्फ अपने आप के। हमने लोगों के हित की बात की है मेरे भाई, हमने अपने बात नहीं की। लोग चाहते हैं जो नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस बोल रही है, जो मेरे लीडर फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब बोल रहा है, उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब बोल रहा है, जो सुरेंद्र चौधरी बोल रहा है, वो लोगों के हित की बात है। जो ये बात करें ये अपने हित की करें। थैंक यू।
If they don't sign on a resolution, if they don't bring a resolution, then it is a bloody fixed match. वो resolution हमने accept किया, sign किया, वो weak है. This is not the reason that we came to assembly. हम बच्चे नहीं हैं स्कूल के कि उछल कूद के। अब ये खुर्शीद साहब के साथ हमने लड़ा है, इनने हमारे खिलाफ लड़ा है, हमने इनके खिलाफ लड़ा है। लेकिन एज ए कश्मीरी जब मैंने देखा कि अकेले इन पर अटैक हो रहा था, मुझसे रहा नहीं गया। और तब जो नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस वाले मेंबर ये नाराबाजी, उनमें से एक आया, कोई बचाने इसको।
All right, my colleague Nazir Masoodi joins us to get us more on this. Nazir, we saw a war of words. In fact, we also saw a fist fight, almost a fist fight happening inside the assembly today. Just break it down for us. What all transpired?
Well, as the House convened, we saw Khurshid Ahmed Sheikh, an MLA from Lange. He was carrying a banner saying 370. So BJP guys, members, they tried to snatch it. Then we could see Sajjad, and also they were just snatching that banner from each other. As we see this in these visuals, these this fight between the two. It is over a banner on 370. So then there was a huge ruckus in the assembly, and BJP members were shouting slogans. So it is something which was expected, because BJP has clearly made it a point that they will not allow the House to function till the time Speaker does not withdraw the resolution which has been passed for the restoration of Jammu and Kashmir's special status. So on one side, the BJP is calling it an anti-national move, but on the other side, the regional parties, as we just heard, Sajardon, then the PDP, they are saying it is very weak. It is kind of a surrender. The language in this resolution is very weak. It has no mention of 370 and 35A. It is not condemning the abrogation of 370 and JNK special status. So they try to bring another resolution which they say is completely unambiguous when it comes to condemning what Centre did on August 5, 2019. So when it comes to the language of the resolution, it was very, very guarded when it was moved in the assembly. And National Conference was playing actually very clever in the sense of trying to send a message, not just by passing the resolution, but also who would move the resolution. It was Deputy Chief Minister Surinder Chaudhary, who is from Jammu, trying to send a message. It is the legislator from Jammu, a Hindu legislator, who is moving a resolution for the restoration of 370 or the special status. But BJP members called him as Jammu's Jai Chand, and there was a lot of slogans. And through the day today also, and some of the members were marshaled out after they jumped into the well of house today. And it has been really chaos in the house till the time it was adjourned, twice, and it has been adjourned for the day. And tomorrow, when the assembly will convene tomorrow again, it is unlikely that it will be allowed to function, because BJP has made it a point that they will not allow the House to function till the time the resolution is withdrawn. But clearly, National Conference leaders, I spoke a while back to Javed Beg, who was actually initiate, speech on behalf of National Conference on the thanks of the governor's address, motion of thanks, but he was not allowed, so there could not be any discussion so far on governor's address in the assembly. Let me talk to the BJP, member who was in the house. Sir, आप ये बताइए क्या हाउस को चलने देंगे या नहीं?
देखिए, ये तो सरकार के ऊपर है।
जी जी।
अगर वो इसको वापस लेते हैं तो हम इसको चलने देंगे। लेकिन कोई भी है जो एंटी नेशनल एक्टिविटी या जिसमें अशांति फैले रियासत में, वो हम बर्दाश्त नहीं।
तो लेकिन कल अमित मालिया ने ये ट्वीट पहले किया, फिर डिलीट कहा कि इससे तो बातचीत का दरवाजा खुलेगा जो ये रेजोल्यूशन है।
देखिए, ऐसा है कि इनको जो काम करना है वो है डेवलपमेंट करनी। बहुत दिनों के बाद सरकार बनी है। आज नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस का जो मेन रोल था वो था पब्लिक को एड्रेस करना, ना कि ऐसे मसलों में पड़ना। हम कोई भी चीज ऐसी नहीं करने देंगे जैसे इनका ये मसला पड़े कि कल कोई और चीज लाए।
So let me join another, Mr. Gupta, you tell me कि अब आज भी ये हाउस नहीं चला यहाँ, और you all of these 28 members of the BJP chose not to allow it, and you are saying first the resolution should be withdrawn.
देखिए, the problem is the government should have concentrated on the basic issues.
जी जी।
They know it for good that this Article 370, to which the special provision is abrogated, it is within the domain of the Indian. It is not in the domain of this assembly.
So that's why you say it should not be discussed here.
Yeah, they should have concentrated on grant of a statehood. Why their sheer conduct and their behavior, they should have given a message to the center that now we are a change not, and we want to do some positive business. तो उनको स्टेटहुड के लिए हम इनके साथ चाहते हैं, और ये इन्होंने पीडीपी के एक सिंगल आदमी के कहने से तो उस बिल को ले आए। और मेरे को लगता है कि ये कॉम्पिटिटिव सेशनिज्म वो सेपरेटिज्म के अंदर है।
Okay. So clearly BJP is saying it would not be allowed. The National Conference should have focused on restoration of statehood, and they would have supported them, but instead they chose to bring a resolution for the restoration of special status. That's why they are not allowing the House to function.
All right, Nazir Masoodi, thank you very much for getting us all the latest from outside the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. In the meanwhile, I'm currently joined by Ifra Jan, spokesperson of the National Conference, as well as Siddharth Yadav, the spokesperson of the BJP. Siddharth Yadav, to you first. You know, the National Conference, it says that, look, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they have rejected BJP and voted National Conference to power because they were not happy with the abrogation of Article 370. What is your response to that?
Biggest party in Jammu and Kashmir have made it a point that we shall not allow any anti-national move to continue in the state of. In the assembly, if the government chooses to bring anything which is unconstitutional, anything which is not abide by the law of the land, that cannot be supported by Bharatiya Janata Party, and that position has to be very clearly understood by the government and National Conference. Now, what they are trying to do, they are not supposed to do. What they are trying to do, they can't do. Then why are you trying to do? If this is not a political move, if this is not something just to gain, some kind of popularity or some kind of a political move to appease a certain section, then what else can this be understood? You have been elected by the people to choose and work for the development of the state, not to play political games and gimmicks. And the National Conference should be very cautious when they choose such sides. We were very clear. Had they come out with a resolution supporting for a statehood, the Bharatiya Janata Party would have very constructively participated in that. But since they are only doing political gimmicks, these things cannot be supported, and Bharatiya Janata Party as a principal opposition party will not allow such things to happen in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly.
All right, Ifra Jan, you heard what Siddharth Yadav has to say. He said this is all being done in order to appease the people of Jammu and Kashmir. How does the National Conference, firstly, what is your reaction to that? And how does the National Conference justify its push for reinstating Article 370 despite all this opposition?
First things first, National Conference has the mandate of the people, and it was one of our manifesto promises that when we come to power, the first thing that we will do is we will pass a resolution like this. So we were elected to power because of this resolution, because people wanted us to do that. So this is not a National Conference doing that. This is the people of Jammu and Kashmir who wanted this, and National Conference, like working as a democratic party, is doing what it's been elected to do. That is number one. Number two, Bharatiya Janata Party says we will not allow them to do. Exactly. This is exactly the hooliganism because of which they were forced to get out of the assembly today. If I, as a citizen of this country, or I, as a member of an opposition party, have an issue with a bill that is passed in the Parliament of India, I do not sit down in the Parliament and say, I will not allow this house to function. That is because I am not a hooligan. I will instead take this resolution, go to the Supreme Court of India, or I will use my right to protest and go outside the Parliament building and sit down and protest. This is what the National Conference MPs did when Article 370 abrogation bill was passed. We did not sit down inside the house and said, "Yahan hum sabki ko marpeet karenge." We will start beating everybody up because this is who we are, gundas of the first order. That is essentially what the BJP government is doing since yesterday. As BJP, since it does not understand democratic traditions, it doesn't know how to protest. All it knows is either to demolish people's homes. It knows how not to conduct elections for 6 years. It exactly knows how to choke the voices of the people. And now it's learned the master gimmick of how not to allow an elected house to function. And I am very glad that the Speaker...
All right, Ifra Jan and Siddharth Yadav, thank you very much for giving us your time and speaking on this particular issue. And vehicular pollution is the biggest contributor to air pollution in Delhi. Now, reports are suggesting that vehicles are the largest contributor to Delhi's particulate pollution, accounting for more than half of the city's PM2.5 pollution in some cases. Now, other local sources include construction dust, industrial emissions, open burning of waste, but a high volume of vehicles in Delhi NCR is affecting the air quality. Now, at the same time, the Indian government has taken strict measures to combat the massive pollution caused by stubble burning in Delhi NCR. The farmers who are found burning crop residue, they will face on-the-spot fines administered by the CAQM in coordination with the local authorities. The centre has in fact doubled the fines on stubble burning. The centre says that farmers with less than 2 acres of land, they will have to pay 5,000 rupees fine if they are found burning the stubble. Farmers with 2 to 5 acres of land, they will have to pay 10,000 rupees as fine. And farmers who have more than 5 acres of land and are found burning stubble, they will have to shell out 30,000 rupees and more. And my colleague Sunil Prabhu joins us to get us more on this. Sunil, just break it down for us. What is the centre government saying, and is this enough is the big question?
Well, what the central government and as well as the Centre for Air Quality Commission, the commission, has really done is double the fine. This, of course, after the Supreme Court's prodding, where it made it very clear that whatever has been done hasn't been in the fitness of things completely, and it had become completely toothless. So that is the reason why they've doubled the fine. And told the Environment Ministry as well as the Centre for AQM to take necessary actions to empower officials, and that is the reason why you're seeing that incremental increase. So it's in this backdrop now that the Supreme Court prodding has ensured that a gazette notification has come, the rules have been changed, the whole entire procedure has been brought out. Hopefully, this will help in ensuring that Delhi will be able to effectively handle stubble burning that is taking place in the bordering states, apart from, of course, the vehicular pollution, which the Supreme Court is now looking into in its entirety.
All right, Sunil Prabhu, thank you very much for getting us all the latest. So the centre has come down very heavily on the stubble burning issue, levying fines which ranges to 5,000 to 30,000 rupees if the farmers are found burning stubble. And I'm also joined by Sharanjeet Kaur, the Programme Officer, Urban Climate Centre for Science and Environment. Welcome to NDTV, Sharanjeet Kaur. Firstly, how effective are these fines going to be, or does the government need to look at alternate measures here?
Yes, exactly. So stubble burning is a common practices in October and November, causing pollution to Delhi and nearby areas. But if we are looking at the data that is provided by the IARI, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, that compiled the satellite-derived data for stubble burning, we have seen that this year the stubble burning has reduced substantially if we compare it to the year 2020. If we look at the data from October 10 to October 20, the earlier days of October, the stubble burning contributes less than 1%. That is
All right, we'll try and fix that line with Sharanjeet Kaur, the Programme Officer, Urban Climate Centre for Science and Environment. In the meanwhile, the centre, as we mentioned, has doubled the fine after the Supreme Court's rap. It has doubled the fine on stubble burning. The centre, it says that farmers with over 5 acres of land, they will have to pay 30,000 rupees as fine. Farmers which have less than 2 acres of land, they will have to shell out 5,000 rupees as fine. And farmers with 2 to 5 acres of land, they will have to pay a 10,000 rupee fine if they are found burning stubble. Apart from stubble burning, and the centre has now come down and helped after the farmers now. And breaking news coming in at this point, the Congress has expelled the rebel MLAs in Maharashtra. The Congress has expelled, in fact, the rebels for 6 years. From what we understand, the rebels, remember, they are fighting against the official Maha Vikas Aghadi candidates, and the Congress has now come down heavily on these rebels. The Congress has expelled these rebels for 6 years. These are the same candidates who are supposed to be fighting against the official Mahavikas Aghadi candidates.
My question to you, sir, take us through the guarantees that have been promised by MVA. They are very similar to what the Mahayuti has guaranteed.
No, it's not at all similar. It is similar to the Karnataka and Telangana pattern. And guarantees has been first introduced by Congress party in Karnataka. It has been copied by so many BJP states. But we are totally committed to the guarantees which is given to the people of Maharashtra.
Those are women-centric, youth-centric, farmer-centric, very similar to, what Mahayuti had been pointing at.
They had not implemented anything. Farm loan waiver was done by Uddhav Thackeray's MVA government. Yeah. It has been copied by them. Okay. So this is, after long deliberations, we have come to a conclusion to help the people and the needy people who are suffering because of the NDA government policies.
But all the
parties are
parties,
doing this.
Okay, are all the parties in tandem? Because Uddhav Thackeray has put out another manifesto, but are they in tandem with what the MVA has released?
Yeah.
So last question, Congress has decided to expel several of the rebel leaders, rebel candidates. Take us through those details.
Expelled.
Expelled for how many years, sir?
6 years.
Okay. And sir, do we know how many?
I have forgotten to tell one.
Sir.
All right, moving on to our other big story. The Supreme Court has set aside a Rajasthan High Court order which had allowed the quashing of an FIR in a sexual harassment case related to minor. The top court said that a compromise can't lead to quashing of an FIR. The case was filed against a teacher in Rajasthan by a 15-year-old girl. Both parties apparently reached a compromise later, which is when the accused teacher had approached the High Court. While the High Court had allowed the relief, Supreme Court has overturned it. The Supreme Court has, remember, set aside the High Court order. This case is related to a 15-year-old girl being harassed by a teacher in Rajasthan. The teacher, remember, was booked after the minor filed a complaint. Now, both the parties apparently reached a compromise. The accused had moved to the High Court seeking quashing of the case. The Rajasthan High Court, it had accepted that plea. The Rajasthan High Court's order was then challenged in the Supreme Court by a third party, and the Supreme Court now says that the order, that FIR will not be cancelled. So the Supreme Court has now set aside a Rajasthan High Court order which had allowed the quashing of an FIR in a sexual harassment case related to a minor. The top court, in fact, has said that a compromise cannot lead to quashing of an FIR. All right, let's go across to a press conference that is being conducted by Smriti Irani. Let's listen in to what she has to say.
लोकतांत्रिक ढांचे के माध्यम से एक चुनी हुई सरकार विकास के मुद्दों पर काम करने की बजाय भारत को जोड़ने की बजाय भारत को तोड़ने का प्रमाण दे रही है। मैं इंडिया अलायंस के सभी नेताओं को, देश के नागरिकों और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं के माध्यम से आश्वस्त करना चाहती हूं कि संसद द्वारा पारित धारा 370 पुनर्स्थापित नहीं होगा और जम्मू कश्मीर को भारत से बांटने का उनका ये प्रयास कामयाब नहीं होगा। Today, I stand as an Indian outraged at the attempt by the Congress-led India Alliance to bring to the floor of the House a resolution that stands against the Indian Constitution and the opinion of the Supreme Court of India. The question that now is to be posed to the Congress-led India Alliance is this: after the revocation of Article 370, tribals in Jammu Kashmir received their constitutionally guaranteed rights. After the revocation of Article 370, the Dalit and OBC community in Jammu Kashmir received, after years of struggle, their constitutional rights. After the revocation of Article 370, women who were constitutionally guaranteed protection against abuse and violence received their constitutional protection. The resolution passed by the India Alliance led by the Congress Party brings to the fore many questions. Does the Congress-led India Alliance stand against tribal rights, Dalit rights, women's rights, children's rights? Everybody in India knows that after the revocation of Article 370, deaths of civilians, the numbers came down by 80%. Incidents of violence came down by 70%. Tourism in Jammu Kashmir especially went up to a staggering figure of over 2 crore 11 lakh tourists, especially in the Kashmir Valley. Does the Congress-led India Alliance, my apologies, today stand against the economic and constitutional interests of Jammu Kashmir? Does the Congress-led India Alliance today stand against the very premise that when Prime Minister Modi offered a package of 80,000 crore rupees to the citizens of Jammu Kashmir, do they stand against the development work of the government of India for the people of Jammu Kashmir? I am today joined in my outrage by the people of India and the Karyakartas of the Bharatiya Janata Party. The Congress leadership, particularly the Gandhi family, needs to answer. Do they stand for terrorism and stand against development of Jammu and Kashmir? Do they stand for breaking of India rather than stand and abide by the Constitution of India? The question that the Congress-led leadership has to answer, particularly in the states of Jharkhand and Maharashtra, do they stand against the valor of citizens who donned uniforms of the Indian Armed Forces to protect us better? Do they stand against tribal rights, rights of Dalits, OBCs, women and children? What they seek is a special status for themselves and not the people of Jammu Kashmir.
देवेंद्र प्राशर।
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इंडिया अलायंस ने जो बिगुल छेड़ा है जम्मू कश्मीर में, वो अगर विकास के संदर्भ में होता तो जम्मू कश्मीर के आवाम को उससे ज़्यादा फायदा होता। मुझे लगता है कि आंतरिक सुरक्षा के विषयों पर अगर भारत की सरकार के साथ मिलकर राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा और नागरिक सुरक्षा पर वो बल देते तो वो एक सकारात्मक राजनीति का प्रमाण होता। इस प्रकार के रेजोल्यूशन को पारित कर वो भारत के संविधान, भारत की संसद, भारत की सुप्रीम कोर्ट के खिलाफ एक अपना स्टैंड लेकर जम्मू कश्मीर के आवाम को, जो शांति प्रिय है, जो विकास पसंद है, उनको क्या संदेश देना चाहती है? मैं पुनः कहती हूं कि इंडिया अलायंस के नेता आवाम के लिए नहीं, अपने स्वार्थ के लिए, अपने लिए स्पेशल स्टेटस चाहते हैं ताकि पुनः जम्मू कश्मीर की तिजोरी को वो लूट सके।
आमोद राय।
आमोद जी, जब आप कहते हैं कि जम्मू कश्मीर में कांग्रेस और इंडिया अलायंस के नेता आइडेंटिटी की पॉलिटिक्स,
All right, BJP's Smriti Irani there conducting a press conference. This after the ruckus took place in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly over Article 370. There was intense opposition from the BJP. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, it had, remember, passed a resolution asking the centre to hold dialogue with elected representatives for the restoration of the special status under Article 370 to the erstwhile state. And now the BJP's Smriti Irani there conducting a press conference attacking the National Conference as well as the India Alliance over this particular issue. My colleague Nazir Masoodi joins us to get us more on this. Nazir, so it's not just the Assembly, the BJP members in the Assembly that are protesting this. The BJP nationwide is now protesting it with Smriti Irani speaking over it at the moment, and also, invoking in a sense that the fact that there are going to be elections in Maharashtra and Bihar, in a way appealing to those parties as well, saying that look, these are soldiers from these states who are fighting for the nation. And just break it down for us. How do you see this statement by Smriti Irani right now?
Well, since yesterday, BJP have been terming this resolution as anti-national. They have been actually, protesting. They have not allowed Jammu and Kashmir Assembly to function, which has been now adjourned for the day and will be convened tomorrow. And BJP leaders I have spoken since morning are clearly saying, look, they will not allow the House to function. This resolution needs to be withdrawn. The same sentiment has been now reflected by the national leadership. Even as we know, yesterday there was a tweet by Amit Malviya, head of the BJP's IT cell. He had in fact welcomed, this resolution and said this would pave way for a meaningful dialogue with the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And in fact criticized Congress. But the way we see now, BJP is taking it, they are questioning India Alliance now, not the National Conference, because Congress since yesterday have been a bit confused. They were taken aback. They had no idea resolution is coming, because when the resolution was moved by J&K Deputy Chief Minister Surinder Chaudhary, it took everybody by surprise and they were taken aback, whether it was even from the Treasury bench as well. Because perhaps National Congress strategy was, if it is known to everybody, resolution would be moved, the House may not be allowed to function. But once he moved the resolution, so there was BJP members, they all stood up and opposed it. Then there was a lot of pandemonium and the huge, chaos. Speaker tried, convince the members that they should sit and speak about the resolution for again, but nobody was listening. And finally, there was a voice vote. And through the voice vote, the resolution was passed. There were 60 members who supported the resolution and 60 members who supported the resolution and 28 members from the BJP who opposed it. Then since yesterday, BJP has said, no, we will not allow the House to function. They jumped into the well of the House yesterday. They sat on the chairs and some furniture was also broken as well. And today also, when the House was convened this morning, independent MLA, Awami Party MLA, this Khurshid Ahmed Sheikh, he came into the House with a banner demanding 370, restoration of 370. And BJP members tried to snatch that banner from him. There was a lot of, heckling. There was a lot of slogans. There was fisting up as well. And they were just trying to snatch that banner from each other. So that's how. Let me just get the firebrand legislator, BJP, Mr. R.S. Pathania ji. So kya chalega? Will the House function now tomorrow?
A darkest day in the history of parliamentary democracy of Jammu and Kashmir was seen today. Bharatiya Janata Party is for discussion, deliberation and debate. But the National Conference wants to go ahead with its track record of bullying and crow-beating, trying to win the norms and the procedures, especially the Assembly Rules of Procedure, the sanctity of the Honorable Supreme Court judgment, whereby it has been specifically ruled there is nothing like special status.
But Mr. Pathania, wasn't there any confusion in the BJP itself? You were opposing it in the House. You didn't allow House function. But first, Amit Malviya put out a tweet, it is a nice thing to happen. They are not demanding the full restoration of 370. And it will actually pave way for a meaningful negotiation with the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
I have not seen what Amit Malviya ji has tweeted and in what context he has said. I think he
eventually deleted.
I think he might have said, even then, I saw a news report in the Indian Express today. He might have said in the very context that from 370 now you have come for a dialogue on special status. That is one aspect of the matter.
Okay.
Being a politician from Jammu and Kashmir and being a member of the lawmaking supreme lawmaking body of Jammu and Kashmir, let me clarify one thing. The Supreme Court has specifically ruled that there is nothing like special status. A provision which was purely temporary in character.
Okay.
And Supreme Court has held that making it non-functional, they have used the word making it dysfunctional, is within the presence, within the powers of the Parliament. Supreme Court has virtually upheld it.
Okay.
And to create unnecessary confusion.
Will you now allow House to function tomorrow? Tomorrow is the last day.
Discussion about that the so-called resolution, could it be tabled or not? We want a discussion, deliberation. Yesterday also, the LOP was stopped, the LOP was interrupted, ultimately there was commotion and it led to the conclusion. Today also, once the LOP was speaking, there was a commotion. Once that commotion did not work, they prodded an independent MLA who came